Hello everybody, it's Julia here from the Highly Sensitive Tarot, and I'm back today after a bit of a break. I've been in a bit of a funk really about making videos recently. My usual not great attention span has been even worse recently. I think I've had the attention span of a gnat, and so I just haven't been able to get it together to sit and do a video, but hopefully today I'll do a reasonable job of talking about this lovely deck. This is my second and sort of last follow-up video about this deck. I did one about a month ago, which was my first impressions and a deck interview with the Witch's Wisdom. And since then, I've been journaling and doing sort of daily card draws and asking various questions really of this deck to try and get to know it and to see where it fits in with me and my life. And I have to say, I've actually loved this last month with this deck. I really have. I think I've been doing a few of these sort of month-long deck studies, and I had the Pensive Path, which, while I love that deck, it's not the most joyful of decks. I had the Tower of the Abyss, which was lovely, and then I had Hieronymus Bosch's tarot, which I did find really quite dark and difficult to work with. I think I found really that while the Bosch tarot offered up lots of clarity about situations and issues, it didn't really offer solutions. And I think that's what I like about the Witch's Wisdom, is I've actually realised that it offers solutions also. It offers a way forward. In this fantastic guidebook here, there are all kinds of incantations, there's spell work, magical practices, affirmations, all sorts of things that you can do to really kind of cement this practice within you, I guess, to really bind it and fix it within you. I did a couple of short little videos, some shorts, about a couple of the exercises that I've done over the last month with this deck, so you could have a look at those if you were interested. So I'm going to pause the video. There'll be a couple of timestamps in this because there's two readings from my journal I'm going to show. What else did I want to say about this deck? I think my final feelings about it, or at least my feelings at the moment, are that I shall probably use this deck as more of an oracle deck. I think while it is beautiful and I love it, and actually it really helped lighten me up, I think, really, because like I said, the month that I had with that Bosch tarot, I did find quite dark and quite difficult. And this deck to me is spring-like. It just makes me think of spring and nature and greenery and everything coming to life, I guess. And I think that's what it's done for me, is it's helped me feel like it's helped me come back to life a little bit, if you know what I mean. So it's a beautiful spring-like deck, really, but as I said before, it's not set out the same as a traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck. The major arcana is kind of back to front. I think there is a good chance that rather than use this deck as a tarot deck, I shall use it as an oracle deck. And that also actually has a lot to do with the guidebook, because I very much like the magic part of this guidebook. Like here on the Ten of Water, you get the wisdom, you get the essence, you get the counsel, and you get the magic. And the magic in this card, for instance, is go out in the rain, listen, what's it saying to you, reach out, feel the water on your skin, wash your face with it, let it bless you, collect the rainwater. So I think this deck actually would work much, much better as an oracle deck, because if you're drawing a few cards for a tarot reading, there's no way that you can do all of the magical practices that it might suggest. But if you draw a card as an oracle deck, you most certainly can. So I think I shall probably use it as an oracle deck, but it is beautiful. I have loved this deck and I don't regret buying it for a second. I've really enjoyed my time with it. So I'm going to pause the video and I'll come back with 3 cards. That is the first of my deck studies, of my journal readings that I want to show you. Okay, so the cards that you can see on the table are from one of my journal readings, and this is another one of Carol's, from Carol at Practical Mystic Carol, her channel, Practical Mystic Carol. Sorry, my tongue doesn't want to get round that. Practical Mystic Carol. So this is another of her her shadow work questions. I've used these in my readings before and found them to be really helpful. So with these 3 cards here, with the first card we've got the world, and the question for this was, how am I fencing myself in? For the second question, which is the Witch of Fire, which is the Knight of Fire, is where do I feel vulnerable? And then for the last card here, we have the Star, and this is what emotion is driving me. And when I did the deck interview a month ago, I also drew the World card, and that was how this deck described me. So it's interesting that it came out again for a question, how am I fencing myself in? And I felt that that it's talking about my self-limiting beliefs again, really. The exercise that comes with this card in the book is a card of writing down a statement about yourself that you know is limiting yourself or sabotaging yourself, about burning it, carving the word truth into a candle, and then writing down a statement that is more aligned to you, something that's helpful and positive and more aligned to yourself at that time. And so I did that exercise, and this was the statement that I came up with, and this has actually been on my goddess altar ever since, really. Is my birthright to feel connected to and blessed to live in this world, and my connections make me happy. So that was obviously really helpful to me. And I think that that exercise in itself, the fact that I've repeated that several times over, I've carved the word truth into my candle several times over, and I've affirmed that statement several times over to myself, and I think that it actually has really helped. The second card here, the Witch of Fire, was where do I feel vulnerable? And I've put in my journal, I feel vulnerable trying to work out what I really want much of the time. I can be fearful of making decisions. This is something I suppose I associate with the Witch of Fire, is about having the being able to act on your thoughts and feelings, of not feeling held back. And I think because over the last few years some things had gone wrong in my life and things hadn't worked out how I wanted them to, I think it's made me feel that I can't trust my own decision-making processes sometimes, and it's made me feel afraid to act and to do. And I think what this card really was encouraging was for me to listen to my dreams and my intuitions a little bit more, rather than my conscious ruminations and more self-limiting thoughts, is to not allow the past to limit my current state or my potential for the future. So that's been really helpful. The star card at the end, the question for that was, what emotion is driving me? And I've written in my journal, the star card represents purpose and destiny, inspiration, illumination, a vision. It can represent a blessing, having something positive to offer the world, encouraging others on their path. And I think when I really think about the emotions that have always driven me, I'm a Virgo. I've always felt the need to be in service to others in some way or another. And even though I don't work as a mental health nurse or a therapist anymore, I think I still feel the pull of that. I still feel the drive to do that. And it's something I think I've always felt led by, like it's almost my destiny in life, actually. And I don't know any other way. And so while my tarot channel is very definitely for me, I still also really do hope that it's helpful to other people as well. I hope I'm making sense. The magical exercise that came with the star card was to go outside and to wish upon the first star that I saw. And that was beautiful, actually, because that was the night of the full moon in Virgo, which we had recently. And so I went out and I looked at the full moon and I wished on a star. And I think from doing these magical exercises and working with this deck over the last month, that it has really helped me feel more positive, more hopeful about the future. So I think that's what the star card represents to me at the moment, is a shift perhaps in a more hopeful emotion, a more joyful and hopeful emotion within myself. So there you go. That's the first little reading that I wanted to show you, and I shall be back in a sec with the second one. Okay, so this is another of my journal readings. This one again actually is from Carol's channel, Practical Mystic Carol, the lovely Carol. And she very kindly helped me work out what my life path soul card was. I think that's how you say it, my life path soul card. And she'd worked out that it was number 1, it was the Magician. I think there were influences of the Wheel of Fortune, with it being a 10 and then a 1, which is the Magician. So she'd said, I am a creator. And that really made me think, actually, because I think I do resonate quite strongly with that. I think when I look back through my life, in my relationships, I've always been the person that was able to manifest things, I guess. So that was quite useful to remember that, actually, because I think when you've had ill health for a period of time and suffered some losses, you can feel quite powerless. So it was quite helpful for me to remember that, actually. So here we've got question number 1. And this is from Carol, these questions yet again. So card number 1, this gorgeous 10 of Earth here, which I just love, is, well, actually all 3 of these cards are all part of one question, actually, for this time. And it is, how do I let the outside world's turning control me? And this was one of Carol's questions from one of her recent shadow work videos. How do I let the outside world's turning control me? And for the 10 of Earth here, I've written in my journal, this is seizing the golden thread of the mycelium of the mushrooms. I don't know whether you can see that there, but it's beautiful, this card. All these little, this network of mycelium going everywhere. This is the conscious web of life, if you like. And beneath it, everything is connected. It's buzzing, it's humming, and it's alive. You know, this card is completely alive in this forest here. So I'd written, I think that so this is about how I let the world, how I let the world's turning control me or affect me. And I've written that I think that my hypersensitivity or my sensory issues that I suffer with mean that I'm always aware of this buzzing and this humming and this aliveness and the connections of everything. And that actually, for me, it's often just quite simply overwhelming. I feel that I'm aware of too much. You know, my sense of hearing is acute. My sense of smell is acute. I'm always watching. I'm always looking. I'm always on alert. So I have this hypersensitivity, and I think because one of the things that I've been struggling with over the last few years is I've become such a hermit. I've really struggled to get out into the world, certainly on my own. In fact, I rarely do go out into the world on my own. And I think in large part it is down to these kind of things. It is that the outside world, the external world, is incredibly overstimulating for me. I feel that if I was to walk through a shopping centre, I'm aware of everybody around me. I'm aware of all the noise, all the sights, all the smells, all the energies, all bouncing around. And it's exhausting. It's absolutely exhausting. And so I've started to avoid these things as I've got older. And I think that that's still a work in progress, really. I need to find a balance, but it's certainly a work in progress. This next lovely card here is the Six of Fire, which is the Six of Wands. And in my journal, I've written the light on the water. It's like everything is in motion. It can be hard to remember that this light shines from everything when daily life sort of bogs you down. When the external world can bog you down, when other people's worries, other people's problems. Again, part of my hypersensitivity is that it's hard to separate myself from other people's emotional states sometimes. So that can really bog me down. And when that happens, I can get stuck in fears and worries, and I end up missing out on the beauty and the brilliance of life, which we can see in this card. It's very strongly represented here in the Six of Fire, is just that beauty and brilliance of these dragonflies. And so I've written in my journal to be present, to try and be more present in the moment, whether that's at home in my own quiet little sanctuary or outside in the world, to try and find ways to be more present, to be out in nature, to spend more time with plants, maybe to spend more time around water. Yeah, I think that nature is always showing us a sort of reflection of our own inner light. So I can't think of any place better to be a lot of the time. But obviously for me, even being out in nature can be quite overstimulating sometimes. So again, this is a work in progress and I need to find some balance with it. So the last card here, the Two of Fire, I actually did a little short video on this just last weekend, I think, because I was so impressed really with the little guidebook with this deck and what it said about the Two of Fire, because the Two of Wands is not always the most exciting or thought-provoking card, is it? But I really liked what it said in this deck. So bear in mind the question again is, how do I let the outside world's turning influence and affect me? And here I've put that danger can be all around us. You know, here in this card is a desert, there are scorpions and snakes, and so it's kind of like the dangers of our modern world, isn't it? We still have to walk on, but sometimes we have to tread carefully. And I think to really fully live, you have to honour life with all of its challenges, which again is this pull for me towards facing my fears. And I think that was the conclusion that I came to with this card, really, is to not let my fears weaken me. And there was a little affirmation that came with this magical practice, which I again have had on my altar all week, and I'm lighting a candle and I'm affirming this to myself. If I can't, then I must. Fears into freedom, doubts into trust, scary snake into mighty dragon. This is repeat 3 times in times of fear, and do something that you have told yourself that you can't. And so that has become my mantra over the last week, is do things that you've told yourself that you can't, and be proud. So as you can see, I'm trying to find some balance in life for myself, I guess. I'm trying to balance the things that I find difficult alongside my need to be more present and to be more of a part of this beautiful world that I live in. I think I'll always be a hermit, it's my nature, but I would like to feel less afraid of the outside world. And so I think this deck actually has really helped me with that, and I think I will continue to use this deck to help me with those things. It's beautiful, and I've not come across a deck that has such gorgeous magical exercises in it, such powerful life-affirming magical practices, actually, that I've been able to incorporate easily into my daily life, into my daily practice. So yeah, it's a beautiful deck, and I would highly recommend it to anybody who's thinking about buying this deck. I hope these videos have been useful to you, whether on a personal level or whether to help you make a decision about buying this deck or not. I think I will put in my tags for this video hashtag read the deck or read this deck, which is a hashtag from Nova at Nova Lunar Tarot. She's just started recently, because that's kind of what I've done here, really. I've demonstrated how to read with this deck, as well as showing you my own journal practice. I've also shown you my way of reading with this deck, which is obviously not going to be for everybody, but it's my way of reading with it. So I think I shall probably put the hashtag read the deck, read this deck, read my deck. I'm not entirely sure what Nova called it, but I shall make sure I put the hashtag, and I would highly encourage you to have a look at Nova's video, and to maybe even have a go a deck yourself that you enjoy reading with. I think it's always lovely to see other people show you their decks and talk about what they like and what they don't like about their decks. But I think if you're not regularly reading with your decks, you're kind of not giving your intuition a chance to flourish and to grow. I know myself, when I read regularly, preferably for other people, not necessarily myself, because if it's yourself or somebody you know very well, it can be quite difficult to work out what's your intuition and what you already know. But I think to read regularly is really essential, actually, in helping your intuition to grow and expand. So yeah, I want to be doing a bit more of that on my channel again. I think I need to find a way to be reading my cards on my channel and not just discussing and comparing cards on my channel. But anyway, that's probably a subject for another video. As I said, I really hoped you've enjoyed having a look at my Witch's Wisdom deck. I hope you've enjoyed hearing about my journal entries and my little magical exercises. Please do leave me a comment. I love to hear from you. I'm up to about 980 subscribers now, which is mind-blowing for me. I'm staggered and so grateful for that. But it makes me think, who are all you lovely people? Please say hello. If you've never commented on my videos before and you've watched this, please do say hello. I really do these videos a lot of the time in large part because of the engagement I get from other people. So please do say hello, and I'll look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you.